Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is the birth chart for Joe Biden, President of the United States currently. He's a Sagittarius rising, Sun in Scorpio, and a Moon in Taurus at 0 degrees. So let's look at the rising first. Sagittarius rising. Ruler, Jupiter, in Cancer, where it is exalted. And guess where it is? In the 8th house, with a Pluto in the 8th house. And all that Scorpio. That's a lot of Scorpio, folks. And it's a very interesting chart for a president, I must say. I look at the Jupiter or the Sagittarius rising, and you'll see someone who has could be like a truth seeker, someone who's learning or interested in traveling and learning about life, about religion, about philosophy. A lot of lessons to learn in the life around those themes. But we have to look at the ruler, and the ruler is Jupiter, and it's in the 8th house. And I don't know that much about Joe Biden, but he has had a lot of traumatic experiences in his life that I would say are 8th house or Scorpio-like. So you could say with that Pluto in the 8th, where he's coming from, we see this as a big part of his life. Learning about these traumatic experiences, these maybe feelings of abandonment, things of that nature, and definitely a very deep, dark, emotional life for this man. And with the stellium in Scorpio, he has Mars, Mercury, Sun, and Venus all in Scorpio in the 12th. We often see this with politicians, this 12th house emphasis. Being a public servant, you think of Pisces. And he also has Neptune there in the 10th near his MC, what he's known for. Someone who's living a life of public service. You think of the, and whatever you want to say about the person and, any criticisms or what you think he is or what you think he really is. In general, we see this with politicians because they are always on, for the most part, always on duty. We think of the 12th house as being prisons, hospitals, politicians, because these people are usually working behind the scenes. They're usually working long hours, or they're always seemingly available. It's not your traditional 9 to 5 job. And that could be where we see this stellium here in the 12th with these politicians. You could see the Sun and Venus, where he could have success in this area with the Sun being there and Venus being there as well, where other people would have seen him as a nice guy, someone that would give him good feelings, that he cares, with that Venus there and the Sun. And even just the stellium in the 12th as well, just and the Jupiter, the ruler there, the Jupiter in Cancer, all this water could be someone who comes across that he cares, and that he wants to help. He's always gonna, even if he can't help, he's gonna come across as if, I can do it, I can help you. What do you need? And you can see with his campaign, he very much talks like this. Being the president of the United States. You can also see the contrast between him and Trump. Both of them do it. All presidents do it. But with him, it comes across as more like Pisces-like, more, I can help the sick. We're going to help the sick. We're going to help the poor, etc. More of like coming across as more like an empathetic president versus Trump, more economical. Like, okay, we're gonna help we're going to help the economy, and we're going to get the economy going. We're going to get the country back to where it should be, et cetera, et cetera. So more, you can see the difference, different focus there. Also, there's something you can look at this chart. There's a lot of things written about him on the internet, talked about him on the internet that are underground, and we see that as well through the chart with the 8th house, the 12th house. And if you wanted to speculate about that, you could do that as well by looking at this chart. It definitely can be interpreted that way, which I'm not going to get into in this video. And we see here the moon in the 5th at 0 degrees in Taurus. You know, that could indicate someone who's coming off the Aries sign and into the 6th, or into the Taurus sign. You know, someone who's been very mission oriented with that Aries, and has done a lot of work, put a lot of energy into being center stage, expressing himself, and now the moon is kind of coming into that Taurus, and we see as part of fortune in Taurus. So all that work, all that energy put towards him trying to accomplish something is now paying off with that moon in the 5th, part of fortune in the 5th in Taurus. Money, Taurus being money. The 5th would be a good house for that as well. Think of the 5th as being speculation and gambling and having fun, and it's possible that he has made some gambles in his life that were correct in his mind, that would pay off, versus someone who would be gambling and having being a loser with their gambles and having it not pay off. This guy's gambles would pay off. And you can see it's making it inconjunct to the 10th, the Neptune in the 10th. And we see the inconjunct is a Scorpio inconjunct. So more emphasis there on this idea of Scorpio and everything that I said previously. You know, it's interesting that there as well that maybe he's made some deals with people as well with that in order to accomplish this Neptune in the 10th. Contracts, we think of Scorpio contracts. He's maybe made some contracts with people in order to gain his status. North Node in the 9th, trining that moon. South Node in the 3rd, where he's coming from. So you can see where, if you want to look at where a person's coming from as well, I've said this many times before, look at the Pluto. It's in the 8th. Look at the South Node. It's in the 3rd. It's at 0 degrees. That moon's at 0 degrees. Sometimes you can look at 0 degrees as being like Gemini-like, because it's between two signs. So it's influenced by two signs, Gemini, duality. And the South Node in the 3rd at 0 degrees, and it being in the 3rd is a Gemini house. So if you want to look at where a person's coming from, look at his 8th. Look here, Joe Biden, the 8th house and the 3rd house, combining Scorpio and Mercury. I'm sorry, Scorpio and Gemini. Mars and Mercury. Where's his Mars? Where's his Mercury? It's conjunct. And the reason why I mentioned that for this chart is, if you want to find out how, if you want to use astrology and figure out how a person is, or if you're wanting to speculate at all, this guy's coming from Scorpio, Gemini area of the chart, and Scorpio and Gemini don't have the best reputation. When you put them together, Mars and Mercury, what do you get? You see as Mars and Mercury there as well. And I'm not going to speculate in this video. I just wanted to point that out, versus say if we had a Pluto in the 9th and the South Node in the 12th, which would be a combination of Pisces and Sagittarius. One might speculate more positive things from that placement. So he's moving here towards the ninth, where he would learn some lessons about understanding, philosophy, morality, things of that nature. Or you could say, with the opposition of Pluto in the second and the North Node in the ninth, that's a Jupiter-Venus combination. And where's his Jupiter? It's at 25 degrees Cancer, and his Venus, it's trining Venus in the 12th. So, not everyone is so deep and on the path of finding God, and this guy could be on the path of finding money, because we see that the where he's coming from, as I described, and where he's headed, and with it being the houses being the Jupiter-Venus houses, as Jupiter-Venus is in a trine, maybe he's not really on the path of understanding and learning and finding God, but on the path of expanding his money through political games. And his Saturn is also in Gemini in the 7th. When we know about air signs, here's the thing about air signs. They're not, it's not, it's not that they're bad, it's a person's a bad person, but we know about air signs that can be liars, especially Gemini and Libra. And it's not so much, I don't know that it's a conscious thing always, but if we're looking more indication of this deceptiveness or duality, and here's Saturn in Gemini, and it's retrograde in the 7th. So we're talking about his work, other people, information. And I did do a chart. I do think Biden will be the next president of the United States. So I did some videos on that, and how Kamala Harris, I think, will become the next president of the United States. So check that out as well. And I hope you enjoyed this mini reading for Joe Biden.